Okay, welcome everybody. For those of you that are brand new to Pointe, welcome to Pointe. First of all, we're really excited to have a lot of new reps on tonight. This is our first official um, company-wide sales rep training of 2025. So, big deal. We're just excited to have everybody here. We are going to be asking for some participation tonight, so be prepared to unmute yourself, but you may want to stay muted in between participation sessions just because we will have probably close to 100 people on here tonight. We are recording this, so we'll be able to make it available to people later for those that missed it. So please share it with those that you have in your networks that are going to be selling with us that aren't here tonight. We want to make sure everyone gets a chance to see this. So just to introduce myself, my name is Theron Anderson. I'm over our Pointe operations. So I'm going to be working with you guys. If you haven't heard from me already, you will on Slack, in our trainings, everything we do day to day to get you ready for the summer. Also on here tonight, I want to introduce Gabe Cheriton, owner CEO of Pointe. He does a lot of the hands-on trainings and things with us as well. He's out in Arkansas, but we'll be participating and doing some teaching tonight here, as well as Parker Vassoff, VP of Sales. Parker's on here as well, and we'll be taking over here in a minute doing the majority of the training. So we just have a few announcements we want to go over, a few things we want to bring to your attention before we jump into the training. First of all, our next company-wide sales rep training that will be a mandatory training will be January 15th
Emily's on.
at this same time at 8 p.m. And that will be taking place in person at our headquarters in Provo and also on Zoom, and will be recorded as well. And these sales rep trainings are very, very important as we prepare for the summer. And what we do in January and February is absolutely vital to what you're going to be doing during the summer. So please make sure you don't miss these. We also have a recruiting incentive going on right now, which is pretty exciting because it's for every single person in the company. And anybody that's signed to sell with Pointe has an opportunity to also be part of these incentives. Talk to your friends about what you're doing this summer. Share the opportunity with them and set up a call with one of our leaders. And if you can get a couple reps signed before the end of January, deadline on that is January 30th, then we're going to be taking a big group of people to the Utah Hockey Club game on the 31st. So it's going to be a fun night, chance to go to a game together and reward those of you that are doing awesome things in recruiting. And if you get 3 reps or more signed before then in the next month or so, you'll be able to join us at dinner at Ruth's Chris, the nicest steakhouse in Salt Lake, right before the game. So just want to make it a little bit more fun for everybody to continue to share this opportunity. And the last thing I want to talk about is techs. We are always interested in bringing techs to our organization. These are technicians that are going to be doing the pest control work during the summer with our sales teams, living with our teams. So if you have a friend who doesn't want to sell, who's just absolutely not willing to knock doors, but he or she wants to have a job and could, is a hard worker, then we could put them in as a tech. So please share those opportunities with your friends as well. So
Can I say one thing on that there?
Yep.
I guess just a lot of you guys know a lot about the sales job just because you've interviewed for it and been hired for that. Just so you kind of know how to tee that up if they're wanting to maybe look at being a technician. Here's just a couple things about that job that might be helpful. So it is more of an hourly job, obviously, than the sales gig is. We completely cover housing for technicians. So they do get free housing no matter where they're servicing in the country. It's probably about a $15,000 to $25,000 opportunity. So you can tell them that. They get a truck, so they get to use one of our company vehicles. We pay obviously for their gas. And it is not a sales job, so they're not there's kind of less emotional and mental grind. It's still long days and it's still pretty grindy, but they get to live with our people in the same housing, so it's fun. They get to go to a different place. So anyway, those are just some details about the the technician job. Gabe and I were just texting as Theron was talking about this, and we'd also like to just roll out the technician. If you can recruit technicians, we will also include that into this incentive. So if you can recruit two technicians or three technicians, you would get the hockey game, and the Ruth's Chris as well. We are in need of technicians. We're obviously growing a lot on the sales side, and in order to keep up with that, we're going to need technicians. Our service partners are, in a lot of ways responsible for staffing those teams, but when we can bring technicians, it helps a ton. Usually the people that we bring are hungry, and they're college kids, so they're willing to work longer days in the summer. So they usually make really good technicians. So anyway, any questions on that, just on technicians, just what the job is, just so you can kind of tee it up. If they're interested, just set them up with myself or with one of your regionals, whoever your regional is. Just set it up with them, and they can take it from there.
Awesome. Well, speaking of taking it from there, Parker, why don't you go ahead and proceed with the training? I think that's all of our announcements.
Cool. Gabe, did I miss anything on that? Anything that you would add?
I just want to make sure we clarified that with that January recruiting incentive, this next month will include whether it's a sales rep or a technician. If they're hired in that time frame, we'll count it towards that incentive.
Cool. Okay, sweet. Well, let's jump in. We are so excited to be kicking this year off, and this is kind of a new. Usually, our very first training, we just jump into like tactical. What do I say when the door opens up? Type thing. And we were talking over the break, and we just thought it would be so cool to do a mental toughness training, because this job, if you're an experienced rep and you're on this call, you know that this job is like 80% mental, kind of in between your ears. Like it is a hard job. It's a mentally tasking job. And so we have some principles prepared that we want to talk about and have a discussion about tonight that we believe will help you guys kill it this summer with the mental toughness piece. So we're excited. I also am excited that this training is on January 2nd. It's a brand new year. And so some of tonight will be about casting a vision for what's possible for you in your life, and using this as a vehicle to create an amazing life for yourself. And so anyway, we'll jump right into it. The question we want to start with, Theron, actually, if you'll go back one slide. Or a couple slides. There we go. That one. One year can change your life. So I've seen that. I know there's multiple people on this call that have seen that. One big year and big success in 1 year can give you a lot of momentum and set you up for a lot of years to come. And so the training tonight, we have a couple questions that we want to kind of just pose, and we want you to think about. And these are the questions we're going to be diving into that our presentation tonight is kind of built around. So the first question is, what do you want to get out of 2025, and why? What do you want to accomplish this year, and why is that important to you? And we're going to dive into that here in a minute. Anytime that you want something, there's a cost to go and get that thing, right? So if you want to go make a ton of money this year, then you're going to have to become the type of person that can go demand that type of income. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, is who is the type of person that you're going to need to become in order to make a lot of money and have success doing this job. The last question is, how will I pay that cost? So we have a training, like I said, tonight that'll kind of speak to these three questions. And let's go on to the next slide. So the first question, what do I want to accomplish this year and why? And really, this question is about vision. So I'm gonna talk about the conceive part, and I'm gonna actually turn it over to Gabe. Gabe has a really cool story that I've asked him to jump on tonight and share a couple nuggets because Gabe is one of my heroes, and we're grateful to have him on with us tonight. Um, so usually when we talk about I love this idea of speak about what you seek, not what you see. And most people they see that something is possible, and that gives them evidence, and then they go think, hey, I can maybe do that too. What we want to talk about tonight is like spiritually creating something in your mind, maybe that you haven't even seen yet, but you seek it. And that's what conception is all about. So the conceive part to me is about the what and the why. And I want to just talk about a practice that I've been doing the last maybe year or two of my life that's been super meaningful for me. I've been journaling every day, and part of that journal practice that I'm doing in the morning is there's a practice where I write down my top 10 goals in my life, and I do that every single day, and it's the goals that I want to accomplish over the next 12 months of my life. And when I do this practice, you have to do it every single day, and you can't look at the last page and what you wrote yesterday. And so I'm teaching my brain every single day over and over and over again, what do I want to get out of my life? And I'm finding, and you can imagine that most days it's the same exact thing that I'm just writing over and over and over again, day over day. But it's teaching my brain, this is what I want to get out of my life. And some of that is with my finances. Some of it is, with Pointe stuff and my goals here. Some of it's with my family and my faith, and my health. Um, but because we all work together tonight, a lot of tonight is going to be about how can I win financially, right? How can I hit my goals in terms of this summer? Because that's what this vehicle is about. So the first big invitation tonight is we want you to ask this question, and we want you to get really, really clear on what do you want to get out of this year in terms of results? How many accounts do you want to sell? How much revenue do you want to do? And then the why piece is so important. One of my favorite quotes is, the bigger the why, the easier the how. And this summer will be hard. We're going to get into that tonight, and we're going to talk about the resistance and the friction that will come. And so if you have a really strong why, it will help you as you're going into battle every day and as you're fighting for it. So that's about that's the conception piece. And then I want to turn it over to Gabe, and I want him to talk about the belief portion of the vision.
Mark, before we jump into the belief, I want to touch a little bit more on that conception. I love this concept of conceive and believe and how they go together. One of my favorite quotes is, what the mind of man can conceive and believe he can achieve. And this really is a powerful combination of achievement. And when you look at that conceive piece, right? Like, as we were talking about, we want to shake up how we've been training for the last few years and have this conversation. What you just said about why versus how, most reps as they jump into this space are talking about, how do I do this? Like, what do I say? And I love that we've shifted the focus tonight about the why. Why, and if you can figure out your personal why, the how will become so much easier as you learn to sell in the next 4 months than as you take that new skill set into practice as the summer starts. So really getting clear, really dialing in on not just what you want to accomplish, but why is it important, and really getting some clarity and really drilling deep. Once you have that concept in your mind and you know exactly what it is you want to accomplish, and you know why it's important to you, it's important that you have belief. Sometimes our goals become millstones instead of stepping stones, where we're so stressed out about trying to accomplish it that it becomes like harder, and it makes it more difficult for us to go, with confidence execute on what our goals are for the year. And so how do we take that conceive and turn it into belief and make it a stepping stone? I want to share this story. There's one of my personal heroes. It's a guy named Sir Edmund Hillary, and back in the 1950s, Sir Edmund Hillary was the first person to summit Mount Everest. And this was back in the time where almost like the Olympics, like the whole world was like different countries were like racing to be the first to get to the North Pole or the South Pole or to, climb to the highest peak on the planet. And so this guy, Sir Edmund Hillary, was selected by Great Britain to be on this exploratory hike or excursion. And he goes to Everest in 1951. And they explore, but they're not able to get to the summit. He gets invited to come back again a year later with the Swiss team to try to summit, and they fail. And then finally in 1953, he with one other person, so a two-man team, become the first two human beings in the history of the world to summit Mount Everest, the highest place in the world. And as he gets back down off the mountain, obviously it's a big deal. Great Britain's super proud of it. He happens to do it like right on the same time as that the Queen of England's being crowned, and so there's all this publicity. He gets knighted. That's why his name is Sir Edmund, is because he gets knighted because he does this great thing for England. And a reporter asked him, what was it like, being in the highest place and to finally, reach this goal? And his response is, it was just like all the other times. And the reporter's like, what do you mean? Like, are you like you have altitude sickness? Like you're the first guy to ever do it. Like it's never been done before. And he goes on to explain that like I've been visually climbing Mount Everest hundreds, maybe thousands of times in my mind. I visualized exactly the route, what it was going to take, how we
Mine right there.
get there.
Right here. Behind this
I've
gentleman right here.
I've seen it so many times in my mind that when I got there, it was just like all the other times. I think there's just such a powerful lesson there of visualization. What's crazy to me is that today, fast forward like almost 100 years later, professional athletes and sports psychologists teach that same practice. That if you want to create belief in something, visualize it and really like not only have like, okay, I know what I want, but can I visualize myself accomplishing it and going through the work and the steps to make it a reality? Powerful way for creating belief.
Love that. And I think we'll wrap that thought up with just this idea of everything is created twice. It's created once in your head, and then it's created in real life. And I think that story of Sir Edmund Hillary drives that home really nicely. So takeaways on this would be get really clear on what you want. Why do I want it? And then you need to start to, sometimes what's amazing is our brain doesn't know if we actually have done it yet or not. Like if we keep telling our brain, hey, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, you're going to start to believe that you have. And then the execution will become inevitable. So,
Well, can I share one more
yeah,
thought on that?
sure.
I was doing a little bit of homework on this and I came across a study that was done with this idea of visualization with sports psychology. They broke this group of like high school basketball players into three groups, and one group they said we don't want you to practice for 2 weeks. Another group, they said, they gave them like literally like mental practice where they were like, these are like, we want you to visualize these drills. We want you to visualize shooting. They were very, very specific about the visualization exercises that they wanted them to do for practice. And then the third group was like physically still practice for 2 more weeks of like being on the court. And the thing that was crazy is that obviously the guys that didn't practice at all actually got worse. But the guys that didn't touch a basketball for 2 weeks, but were visually practicing and mentally going through those exercises, saw dramatic improvement. It wasn't as good as the guys that were on the court, but it was dramatic improvement in their skill set just by visualizing. So that quote that you just shared, I mean, it's not just like feel good fluffy. Like there's like real life scientific research that has gone into like the dual creation and really taking advantage of the power of the mind because the mind doesn't know. If you get good at visualization, you will create belief in your mind as if it was already done and you'll become unstoppable.
Love that. Awesome. Okay, so jumping in to this next question, right? So I know what I want. I know why I want it. I believe I can do it, but I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know. The next question is, what will that cost? Like, what is that going to cost me to go get those things that I want, right? So here at Point, we have these three pillars that we talk about. So anytime a rep is out in the summer and they're trying to figure out how to get better, your leaders are going to reference these three pillars a lot this summer. And very good chance when you were hired, these were actually talked about. We tried really hard to set proper expectations in terms of what this job is. So this job takes hard work, right? It is mentally tough and it takes communication skills. So those are the three things that it's going to take. We're going to do kind of a deeper dive tonight into the mindset and maybe even a little bit of work ethic stuff. The next training, so in 2 weeks when we do our next training, and that one will be in person for some of you guys, we will start to dive into the communication skills. Tonight is going to be more mindset and work ethic focused. Again, those two pillars are a huge part of this whole thing. So starting with work ethic, I've just done this long enough now, 8, 9 years, and have seen maybe probably thousands of reps come through our program. And I just cannot emphasize enough that this quote is real. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Obviously, a talented person that works hard is tough to go and beat, right? But I have seen so many people that maybe are not the most talented person in the room that come through our program that work really, really hard, and they get amazing results and better results than some talented people. And so effort's everything. Um, it's a really, really important thing. It's a really, really important pillar.
Hey, Park,
Mind,
can I add to
sure.
that?
Yeah, please.
Just recently, again, reading in another book. This was the book on grit, and she talks about how work ethic it's a multiplier. In fact, I think I have it written on my whiteboard. I do. But basically, like everyone's, given a different kind of like God-given talent depending on what it is you're going after, right? And we do have some guys that are just naturally very gifted at the sales piece, at the communication part of it. But whatever talent you come with, if you'll go to work on really honing your craft, you create a skill set. So talent plus work ethic equals skill set. And then when you take that skill set into the marketplace with work ethic, that's where achievement comes from. That's where you get results. And so you've got the work ethic component in developing skill set, and then also the work ethic component that goes into actual getting results. And so if you're a person that can bring above average work ethic to the table, you have a secret weapon because it's a multiplier in your ability to win. And that's true for anything, but that's especially true in our organization. And Parker's 100% right. We do have guys that maybe aren't the most talented, but because of how hard they work, they end up doing amazing things. But the guys that are doing the most amazing and that are really high achieving, they're the guys that have great talent. They've worked hard to develop the skill set and they use that skill set to work even harder to get the results.
Yeah, I love that. So good. Um, the next one is which we're gonna get into. Sorry, go back real quick. There we go. Mindset. So we're gonna dive into this tonight, and that is gonna be like the meat and potatoes of our presentation tonight. I wanted to share this idea that I have kind of been studying lately, and I heard this in a podcast. And it was Andrew Huberman, if you know of the Huberman Lab podcast. I really love his stuff. And he was interviewing David Goggins, who is like kind of a fun person to listen to in terms of just doing hard things and the mental side of performance. But anyway, what they were talking about is this idea that willpower is built, and Huberman, who is a really smart psychologist and it's kind of really a science guy.
He's a neuroscientist.
or
Yeah,
a,
he's
a neuroscientist. So he understands the brain, very qualified to speak on the brain. Anyway, he is talking to Goggins in this interview, and he says that there's a part of our brain that literally grows when we do things that we don't want to do. um, like the biologically, our brain expands and grows and gets bigger when we do things that we do not want to do. In other words, we literally have control. It's a muscle, right? Our brain is a muscle, and our mental toughness is a muscle, and it's something that can be built. And so, anyway, I think of our top reps every year. I think of Tanner Dinning last year. He did a really cool presentation at a leadership training recently, and last year Tanner was our top rep in the company. And last year Tanner did an ice bath every day for 75 days. He did 75 hard, and part of that was doing an ice bath. And I mean, that's in Utah, it's freezing cold, and he was doing it outside, and it probably sucked. And there were probably most of those days where he was like, the last thing I want to do is go get in this ice bath right now. But I just think of that willpower being built day in and day out, doing hard things over and over and over again. And then when the summer comes, you're just so used to when that little voice in your brain comes and says, you should stop knocking. It's getting a little bit late. You should be really careful. Or it's raining outside. Um, maybe you should go sit in your car to be really safe. We have that kind of monkey brain in our in our head, that monkey brain that says like, hey, be careful. Don't be tough right now. And we can build that um in the off season in preparation for the summer. So that's a really important piece. We're going to be talking about the mental toughness piece tonight. The main thing I want to talk about or just reference in terms of skill set. So next time we connect, like I said, we're going to be talking about the pitch, meaning what do I say when the door comes open? We're going to get you really, really prepared in terms of the what do I say. Um, but you should be excited to learn communication skills with us. We're excited to help you become a better communicator because communication will be your ceiling in life. Like if you're really, really good at these other two things, but you're a terrible communicator, it will definitely affect the results that you get in any type of, you know, anything where you're dealing with people, which is the good stuff. Dealing with people in life is the good stuff. And so we want to help you become a really proficient communicator. And that is one of my favorite things about what we get to do is we get to take people that might be good communicators and make them great ones. Maybe you're not an awesome communicator yet, and we want to help you become confident. So we're going to be diving into that into the next training. But tonight we're going to get into this next slide. So here's the setup tonight. We have 30 minutes left. We're going to run this for an hour. We are going to dive into some mental toughness principles, and Gabe and I are going to go back and forth, but we also want to open it up to some of our veterans, some of our regionals, some of our managers. If you're a first year rep and you want to share something or a thought that you have about one of these principles, we would love to hear from you. So this is going to be kind of more discussion style.
And hey, Parker, just to moderate that quickly, we do
Sure.
have 85 people in here, so it's probably not a free for all. Probably won't work well. What I'm going to ask you to do is go into the chat and use the raise hand feature if you have a comment, and I will call on you.
Okay.
perfect. Hey,
Cool.
Park, before we jump in, I just want to say one more thing about the skill set. We don't need to go
Sure.
back on the slide, but I just why I have a chance to talk to 85 of our people that are really like into preparing for the summer because you're here. It's I think, this is part of mindset. We don't have it on this list, but having a growth mindset, wherever you're at your skill set right now, one of the things that I love about what we do is that selling is a learned skill. And so even if you come in with no skill set whatsoever, you can be confident that if you'll plug into training, you can learn and develop that skill set. Just like learning how to play a sport, learning how to play an instrument, it's a learned skill. It's a step-by-step systematic process that can be learned. And if you'll commit yourself to it, there's no some and the reason I'm so passionate about this piece is that it's crazy where in the middle of a summer I'll have reps that will say like, well, I'm not good at this objection, or I don't know how to sell that kind of a customer. Like that's a very fixed mindset that will limit your ability to be successful. And if you'll approach the selling skill set with that idea of like, you might not be good at it yet, but then if you recognize that you're not good at it yet, then go to work and do something about it, because we have amazing, talented teachers that will help you develop that skill set if you'll pay the price to learn it.
Love that.
Let's jump into mindset.
Cool. Do you want to just talk about the law of the harvest, Gabe?
I mean, yeah, it's just like this is so it's what is it, like a couple thousand-year-old law that's found in the Bible that basically just says that you reap what you sow, like what you put in is what you're going to get out. And the crazy thing about the law of the harvest is that it works both ways, right? Like if you sow the seeds of success, then you're going to reap success. But every day, one way or the other, you're sowing something. And so really being intentional about like again, it comes right back to like what we led with, which is what do you want and why? And then doing the work that it takes to make those things happen, paying the price. That's what you're sowing. And if you sow it, you will reap it.
Love it. Awesome. Um, I want to speak about this discipline beats motivation. I'm going to work through these, and then if if someone wants to jump in, we would love, like I said, just some thoughts. But um, discipline beats motivation. I want to speak about this one. So when I think of a discipline, one of our favorite lines that we'll use a lot here is discipline equals freedom, and motivation can be fleeting. So there will be days this summer where um, you feel very motivated, right? Maybe the weather's good. Maybe you just got out of the car and you had a really nice conversation with someone and you're feeling good and vibes are good, or maybe you drank an energy drink or you're feeling good, right? So there will be days where you are motivated and you can roll with that momentum and with that motivation. There will also be a lot of days, even if you're doing the things that you should be doing, with visiting your goals in the morning and eating properly and getting a good workout. Sometimes you do all the right things and you still have to rely on your discipline because your motivation may not be there. So, discipline for me is about systems. And when I say that, I mean there are non-negotiable systems that when I had my best summers and I had summers where I sold, 600 plus accounts. I accomplished those results because I created systems and I became a freak about um, knowing the systems that lead to success. So that meant, hey, I do not get on the doors after 1 o'clock ever. Like that's just it's a non-negotiable system, and that's a discipline that I will stick to. And even on the days where I don't feel motivated, even on the days where it's raining outside or it's really hot and I don't want to get out of this AC car and talk to my first person of the day, because that first door of the day is the hardest. But it's 1 o'clock. And one of my systems or one of my disciplines is I get out of the car and I hit my first door at 1 o'clock every single day. So I was able to rely on my disciplines. There will be disciplines that your managers will help establish for you, and they'll show good habits. I promise you, our leaders, I really, really hope are good examples of in terms of daily disciplines that lead to success. And as a first year rep, you'll get to choose whether you follow that example or not. But I just want to invite you to become a disciplined person and create systems in the summer and not rely or think that you'll feel extremely motivated every day, because motivation will be fleeting.
Hey, Park, I love this principle, and I think it ties so well with what you were just speaking to about that mental muscle of doing hard things.
Yeah,
I mean, again, the research shows that like capacity to do hard things is a limited resource. It's just like a mental muscle, just like a physical muscle. You can only do so many push-ups until you hit like mental fatigue or physical fatigue. It's the same thing mentally, right? And the way that you prolong your mental that mental muscle is by creating really strong systems and by having those disciplines. You don't have to like use up any of your mental muscle if I'm gonna like do this hard thing if it's built into your routine and it's non-negotiable. You're not wasting energy deciding every day when are you
Mhm.
gonna start knocking. And I think you and I were talking recently. This one also it's like a keystone habit, right? Where if you have good habits in the beginning of the day, they cascade into other parts of your life that make you more productive in other things. So creating those systems affect all parts of your whole day and of your whole being
Yeah,
sets you up for success.
I love it.
And I would
Okay.
be curious to hear from maybe some of our veteran guys. And this is one of those that even if you're a first year rep, like you can start to create daily disciplines now that will help you succeed in the summer. I'd be curious to see what are some of the what are some of the daily disciplines that our guys have built into their routines now that are helping them win. Like last year with Tanner in the ice bath, for example. Anyone?
Bueller. Mhm.
Hey, can I say something?
Please.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and show you guys right now.
let's see it, man.
Speaking on that ice bath every morning right there.
That a boy, dude. Jackson
Yes, sir.
McMillan. I
The
love
ice
that.
bath and gym is all you need.
How long have you done that for?
We've had that thing for like 2.5 months now, and even before then, it was getting up and driving to Molten Falls and jumping in the glacier runoff.
Yes.
Have you seen doing that kind of transfer into other parts of your life? Just your
Day
ability
and
to
night difference. Day and
that's
night difference.
awesome. That's cool, man.
Love
Yeah,
it.
Gabe just mentioned this keystone habit idea, which is, a lot of times how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? So if you can go prove to yourself in one area of your life, hey, I can do hard things. I'm the type of person that like when resistance comes, I figure it out, I push through it, and I get it done. That little like, am I gonna do it? Am I gonna be tough or am I gonna fold? Voice in your head when you go do that, I promise you that will be a thing 20 times a day this summer, right? Should I talk to this person mowing their grass right now? No, that would be really scary. Maybe he'll get mad at me because he's mowing his grass and I ruined his whole Saturday because of a 5 second, thing. Like that is the type of like little just getting really good at like quit being a sissy. I'm gonna do it. Quit being a sissy, I'm gonna do it. And if you can just get so dang good at I'm not gonna listen to that voice. I'm gonna choose the disciplined, tough voice, you know. So that's awesome, man. Thank you for sharing that. That's
All right,
really,
Mark,
really awesome.
you got a couple other,
Let's hear it.
so
Yeah.
Jackson Sorensen raised his hand. So Jackson, if you can unmute and then share what you want to share.
Yeah, I would just say something that helps me a ton in the off season, which is it's kind of weird, but just doing hard things is very important. The summer is super difficult. There's going to be times where everyone's feeling down. So if in the winter time in this off season, if you guys can just do things that are difficult to you and kind of force yourself to build a discipline to do hard things, like for instance, with me, washing the dishes is like near impossible. That's something that's very difficult for me. So me and my wife have made a deal that if she does the laundry, I'll basically force myself to wash the dishes. So even little things, just doing stuff that's super difficult in the off season to build a little bit of discipline for the summer is a massive benefit. So
Thanks, Jackson. I love David just said that it's a simple thing, but getting up early and making your bed. And it's crazy how something as simple as that, but there again, there's like clinical research that says that if you get up and take control of your environment and exert your influence on your environment by doing something as simple as making your bed, the mental benefit of that is through the roof from like a clinical health standpoint. It's crazy how just simple things like that make big differences.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
Another hand up, Catcher, go ahead. Make sure you
Yeah,
unmute.
what's up? So I'm a first year rep. I'm with Jackson. Something I've been doing, Jackson's given me throughout this off season is I have been a lazy person most of my life and I'm sick and tired of it. So me and Jackson agreed that I have to go to the gym for at least an hour a day, and do a physical thing with my day. And then on top of that, I have 1 hour of mental studies to better myself as well. So that could be doing my homework or reading my Bible or anything along those lines.
That's awesome, man. Good for you.
Well done.
I love that.
Love it.
We have a good comment from Ben in the chat. He's also said he's been doing cold plunges for 5 months, and he says discipline is a form of self-love to your future self. Example,
Yes.
it's great to come back to a made bed no matter what happened that day because you made it in the morning.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Love that. Thank you guys for that. This is awesome. Let's run through a couple more of these. This is awesome. This next one that I guess third one down. I think of these as the same. Winner versus the loser mindset, or abundance versus scarcity mindset. Maybe let's have one of our senior leaders just teach the group here in terms of summer sales. What does an abundance mindset versus a scarcity mindset look like? Like, what are some scenarios? What does one sound like versus the other? I'm gonna put Cam Cheney on the spot.
Probably another 25 minutes.
Got you. Honestly, what comes to my mind is Carter Northrup. I listened to his podcast recently, and that I learned a lot from that. Like abundance, I've been learning over the years that it comes from not only mental clarity, but like telling yourself what you're going to do. And no matter the obstacle, you're going to go accomplish it, and seeing the world as like an opportunistic place, no matter your situation. And so Carter is obviously known for like going to different markets that are known for being tough and just like turning it around and doing crazy awesome things with teams. And so abundance is like not forming notions about things. It's like a growth mindset. If you're not good at it, it's like cool, you can learn. Like go learn how to do it, and accomplishing like your task. Just seeing it as like maybe a personal deficiency and learning new skills. And also Parker taught me a while back that abundance is also like there's not limited amount of money in the world. Like everyone can go make amazing money, and if someone X person goes and does amazing thing, it doesn't mean that there's less of an opportunity for you to go do certain amazing thing.
Carter, anything to add? He mentioned you, so we got to bring you into this.
He said it pretty well. I mean, I would give Cam the same shout out. Like he's been able to be the same type of leader for his groups, and he's done the same type of stuff. But I mean, this will kind of dig into the positivity beats negativity aspects. But I believe that actually, I'll just read the quote that I have pulled up here. Einstein says there's a difference between optimism and stupidity. Optimism is the belief that things will get better. Stupidity is the belief that they will get better without any effort on your part. I think that's so interesting. Like you can be the most positive person in the world. Like for example, if it's raining outside and you're telling your reps like, "Hey guys, like we can still sell in the rain." But if you're sitting inside your car while it's raining, like nothing's going to change, right? And so I believe the same thing. Like ditto to what Cam said, I guess.
Love that.
Park, I love how we see this show up in our summer sales program, because the idea that there's abundance, right? That there's more than enough opportunity for everyone to win. And the fact that someone else in your office is winning doesn't mean that there's less winning for you to have, right? Or less accounts for you. And in fact, we see just the opposite, that when guys are winning, high tides raise all ships, and it raises belief level. And all of a sudden, like when someone else is doing well in our teams, we see that other guys follow, and it's like everyone's winning. The more people win, the more people win within our program. Unless you buy into a scarcity mindset where you're like, hoarding, or that guy's winning, so I can't. And I mean, it's such a dangerous, cancerous kind of a way to think about life. But I just love how we get to see that over and over, that when you approach things from an abundant standpoint, it's like, hey, I know that there's more than enough out there for me to reach my goals and for you to get your goals too. And we'll probably reach our goals and exceed them when we work together with that abundant mentality.
Yep, I love that. I love that.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
I want to give a shout out to Mason Richens too. I've said this to a couple of his recruits this year already, but I think he was a great example of someone that had an abundance mindset this last year in Oklahoma, because every day in correlation or at ET, you would never know if the guy sold 10 or if he sold one. Like, he was always super positive. He came to the meeting ready to learn, ready to grind the next day. And I think he was a great example of that. So shout out to you, Mason.
I think the last thing I'll just say on this piece, guys, is like your words matter, and not even just not the ones necessarily that you're saying out loud, but the ones you're saying in your head, right? So if it's raining outside, I can choose abundance or I can choose scarcity, right? So Jackson Sorensen, I'll put you on the spot. If I'm scarcity mindset and it's raining outside, what might I say out loud?
If it's scarcity mindset and it's raining outside,
Yes.
maybe like, oh, like I don't need to go out there and knock today because it's raining. Like I'll get too wet and it's just not worth my time.
Yep. Or yep, 100%. Or there's no sales out there today because it's raining, right? An abundance mindset person looks at the rain and says, everyone is home today. Like no one's going out. It's raining. And so there's these stories you can tell in your head that spin things and make them abundant, right? There's another door knocker that's been through my neighborhood. Scarcity mindset. There's no sales in here. He probably talked to everyone, and everyone's going to be mad at me because I'm the second or third or fourth or fifth person by, right? Abundance mindset. This is awesome. Everyone is going to be educated on pest control probably. And the guy was probably, or girl, kind of a flyer boy and wasn't a closer. And I'm going to get some deals in here and they're going to all be educated customers and they're going to know what I got to bring to the table. So there's always a way to listen to the winner or the loser mindset in your head. And I'll just caution everyone on this call that if you're not really proactive and really careful, the loser wins. The loser is the louder noise unless you do something about it. And that is going to be the case in anything in your life. Anything that's worthwhile or hard, or if you're trying to go accomplish something big in your life in 2025, that noise, that loser scarcity voice in your head will be much louder unless you do something about it. Unless you write your goals down often, unless you visit your why often, unless you do things every day to build that brain to get tougher and stronger and build that willpower out. So anyway,
Or can I give a tip for that? Like
please.
if you find yourself questioning, can I win? That's the loser. And it's just one little adjustment. If you'll change that into how can I win, then you're taking like an abundant positive mindset of what can I control and how can I go win here. And so rather than expending energy on can I, focus on how you can, and that will change your game.
Love that.
Cam has a comment. Cam, unmute yourself.
All right. My thought on that is that people are waiting to follow someone. What's crazy is like once you make the decision to go and do it, people will be like, "Oh, Cam's out there in the rain. Why am I at Costco with the team? Let's go make it happen." And there's this like form of guilt that you feel, and it's because there's a guy out there winning and you're being the loser of the pack. And so like I've seen that happen on my teams is like it's kind of quiet in the Slack channel and I'm like, let's go, one deal down, soaking wet, who's next? And everyone gets this like panic. They're like, what? Like, how is he winning? It's impossible. And it honestly, it comes from you being the first person. And so like if you want to be a leader, even if it's your first year, I would be mentally ready to be the guy that makes the decision to do the harder thing. And then you'll naturally have these people that are like, wow, Jackson McMillan or Lucas Counts, Parker Vassow, Carter Northrup, Jackson Sorensen, he's the guy. And so, yeah, that's my tip on that.
Yeah,
Love that.
that's so good.
Adam Cheney.
Yeah, another thing with that too is when you have an abundant mindset, I feel like that also reflects on how you sell as well. Like there's a couple times when I'm selling out in the rain or when other people are selling out in the rain. And there's so many times where people will just be like, "What are you doing?" You're like, "That you're crazy." But then you just hit them back with the, "Hey, what's up?" You just like radiate sunshine and happiness. And I just feel like that reflects on, a higher chance of you actually getting that sale because instead of just being like, super sad about it, you're happy because there's rain and there's a ton of people inside.
Yeah, I love that.
I love that, Adam. We've seen that so often that our positive people create their own weather systems. It doesn't matter what the actual weather's doing, like they just show up and create their own climate wherever they go.
Yeah, I think skipping to that one, like, and we'll probably bounce around because we have a lot of these principles here. We would invite you to like study these, like all of them. That we're not going to get to all these tonight. And there's another slide that we're going to transition to here in a second. But these are awesome little nuggets that, like, honestly, I just kind of like threw like these poured out of my brain onto this like these couple slides because I was just like, what is the DNA? And what is the what's going on in the type of person's head that's doing really well here and that makes six figures, like, and it's these things, right? So positivity is another awesome one. I'm glad we jumped to that one, right? um you know Cam Cheney and some of our elite people here are the most positive people. If you know Cam and if you work with Cam, you know that you've probably never had a negative interaction with him. He's like the happiest. I always make jokes that Cam drinks happy juice in the morning. Like he just is happy. And um it's okay to not all of us are blessed with that. And sometimes we can have hard days and stuff, but I will say like you have a choice every day, right? And you can be positive or you can be negative. Um, this is usually a message I'm sharing at our leadership, in our leadership meetings. But I'll just say this in front of the whole, group here. You're gonna be with car groups this summer, driving out to area. You're gonna be in your housing this summer and in correlation meetings, and you're gonna be in a lot of different. Sometimes you'll be with the whole team. Sometimes you'll be with just a couple reps. If you can be as positive as you possibly can all summer long, I promise you it will serve you. I promise you. Um, we're not asking that you just like clam it and don't give us feedback or that you don't lean on your leaders because there will be things that you'll need help with, right? You will have concerns and frustrations, but we want you to bring those to your leaders and not share them with like horizontally or with your like just out loud, like just there's a time and a place, but when in doubt, positivity wins. It wins all day long. And our top 10 every year are some of the happiest, most positive people. That's why this top trip, we leave for Fiji on Sunday, and the people on that trip are some of the happiest people. They're just, because they're the people that went out last summer and they kicked butt in the midst of hard work and mental grind. And so if your default is kind of like to be a complainer a little bit, to be negative, like again, that's something you're going to need to change if you want to be a stud this summer. It's really important.
Or can I just share one more thing with that positivity?
Yeah.
Sales is the transfer of energy. And think about the kind of people that you like doing business with, the kind of people that you like to associate with, because people buy from people that they like and trust. So you just think about it, right? Like who's more likely to win in that game? The guy that's walking around saying like this sucks, I suck, like this neighborhood sucks, this job sucks, the whole world, it's like it's easy and to get that negative voice going and let it be loud. But who's gonna win? That guy or the guy that's like, I love my life, I love my job, I'm grateful for this opportunity, I'm the best I can do it. But like that self-talk matters. And like what you're feeding yourself on a regular basis mentally makes a massive difference in your ability to transfer the right energy onto the doors.
I love that. And I'll say this, um, it's hard to be anxious and it's hard to be sad when you're grateful.
Yes. So
And I have found that if you have a hard time with this piece, you have a hard time being positive, um, create a practice every day where you can find a way to find perspective and to find gratitude, right? So I had days my first couple summers where I did zero and I was at zero and it was 8 o'clock p.m. and you feel like a crazy person because you've been working all day and you haven't made a single sale and you haven't made any money and you're working your butt off. Um, but when you I mean, I've had moments, right, where I'm in that situation and then the next door that I knock is a person that has cancer and they have a month to live, right? And you walk away from that door and you're like, holy smokes, like I'm young, I'm grateful, I'm healthy, I'm an American. Like like there are so many beautiful, amazing things about the fact that I'm out here in nature. I get to talk to people. I'm not sitting at a desk. I'm my own boss. And yeah, I got my butt kicked today, but like guess what? I get to wake up again tomorrow, and tomorrow's a new day. So gratitude is the answer to a lot of your problems in terms of negativity this summer.
love that, Park. Hey, can we chat about there's two quotes that I think we could probably address at the same time. Those who prepare bleed less in war.
Yeah.
And and with an expectation that you are going to get punched in the mouth and you need to like wrap your head around that now. Both of those remind me of our business partner Jacob Borg, who plays baseball. He grew up playing ball and he coaches baseball now. He's got a couple boys that have played baseball with him, and one of his sons was a catcher, and he was a little bit scared of getting hit with the ball. And so Jake took him out as he was this young new catcher, and he put on all of his catcher gear and then put his hands behind his back. So his son's kind of like one of these, right? With all of his mask and his chest gear. And he starts taking pitches like to the face in the with the mask and with the chest. And just pitch after pitch after pitch until Junior figures out this doesn't hurt. And it's okay if I get hit with the ball because nothing happens, I'm protected. But that preparation on the front side, long before he ever got into a game of taking those punches and getting hit and preparation for the war, took away the fear, so that it didn't matter anymore whether or not he was getting. He didn't have to be afraid of the ball. So then because that fear was gone, then he could focus on catching and doing his job and doing the part that mattered. And there's, I think, some powerful lessons with both of those principles. Next time we meet, it will be to start sales training. And we have some guys that are like, I'm too cool. I don't want to look stupid in front of the group. I'm afraid to like look dumb. And so because they're not willing to prepare when it's free in a simulated role play, they bleed a lot in the summer because they don't pay the price up front. So similarly, like don't get afraid to, don't be afraid to take those pitches before the game starts as we start to train and get that fear of failure and fear of rejection out of your system in a role play. If you can do it in front of a group with an audience, it gets very, very easy to do it one-on-one on the doors.
Hey Parker, we have a
Yes.
few more slides. How do you guys want to proceed with timing on these? You want to go through the rest of these?
Let's go to the next slide and maybe pick a couple little nuggets and then we'll jump to the last slide from there. So probably another 15 minutes or so if you guys are okay with that. So yeah, I guess I already spoke to that one. Hard to be grateful and anxious at the same time. Love that one. Spoke to the vision one. Here's what I'll speak to. I like this one. So there will be days, and Carter spoke to this with the Mason Richens thought, and I loved that thought. there will be days where you have an awesome day. You sell 7 or 8, and maybe the day's not even done yet, right? And you've made more money than you've ever made in your entire life. 2 grand in 4 hours, right? And you're like, you're starting to count the numbers in your head, and you're starting to call your parents and tell them like you're rich and you're ready to retire, right? And and that's a dangerous approach. I call it steady Eddie. Like, you want to be a steady Eddie person, and regardless of what the numbers are showing, um, you keep the gas pedal down, right? And if you do have momentum is a good thing, and you can ride with momentum, and you should. But you need to be careful, because I just love this quote: when you sleep on a win, you wake up with a loss. So there will be days where you have really awesome days. The next day you have to show up with that same discipline. It's that discipline versus motivation thought. Today I'm going to be extremely disciplined. I'm going to stick with my systems that got me the 7-day yesterday or the 10-day yesterday. And I'm not going to get self-righteous. I'm not going to cut corners. Um, so there will be days where you have to work super, super, super hard, and you get one sale and it's your last door of the night. And there's probably 50 veterans on this call right now that could say that's happened to them a lot of times. There will also be days where you're at 9 sales and it's 8 o'clock. And again, you have your systems, and you got to finish both of those days strong and push for that one last sale. And so staying consistent. Anytime I was managing a team and we had a really big day, part of me was like, man, I'm so excited. But then there was also part of me that was like, I don't want my team to get too self-righteous and sleep on this so that we get whacked the next day, right? So manage your own kind of emotions that way. That's a really important mindset to understand.
Hey Park, I know that we told everyone that this was going to be an hour. I want to keep our commitment. Why don't we'll send these two
Yeah, I
slides,
like that.
these principles out, and then let's invite guys to talk within their region and within their teams about these principles. And feel free to hit Parker or I up on Slack if you guys want our input on any of those principles. But let's send those out and let them
Cool.
talk amongst themselves or hit us up, and we can keep a chat going on Slack about those principles.
Awesome. We'll go to the last slide then. Yeah, let's share that deck, and I do think diving into those and just kind of becoming a student of all these little nuggets, I think would be awesome, guys. Here's our homework for you. So establish your top 10 goals. And these can be life goals, right? They don't all need to be summer goals. But hopefully some of them are, right? If you're coming out this summer and you have big goals, get really clear on what exactly you want to accomplish in terms of results. You know, how many sales do I want to get? How much revenue? What kind of earnings do I want to have this summer? And why? The why component is so, so important, right? Otherwise, it's just numbers. So that is such an important piece. So that conceive and believe, right? And start to visualize it. The next step is doing hard things. So we want you to start leaning into building that muscle of I'm the type of person that when resistance comes, I manage it and I overcome it and I push. And that's going to be a really important thing that you're going to be challenged to have to use a lot this summer. And then the last thing is just keeping.
Hey, can I just say one thing about that? Like
Sure.
I know that's a general principle, but I would want to challenge you specifically, like find at least one thing that's hard for you. Like if you're not a morning person, like set the goal. Like I'm getting up an hour earlier than I normally would, and then make that thing a strength. If you're running from the gym right now, man, like I love what that gentleman said earlier about like he's in the gym, he's made a commitment. Or if maybe like if that's easy for you and you're struggling with like developing the intellectual piece, like dedicate 30 minutes a day to reading. Find out like identify where's your weakness, what's hard for you. Like Tanner last year was doing cold plunges, but at this point, like that's not hard for Tanner anymore. Like he do it 25 days in a row, and you're like good at it now. So you got to find something new that's going to continue to push you. Find out what your thing is and then go to work on it.
Yeah, that was actually one of the interesting things about that conversation with Huberman and Goggins is he said it has to be something that you don't like. That's and so some people like to go to the gym. I love to go to the gym, and so you have to find things that you don't want to do, and you have to do them intentionally. So, and then the last thing is keeping commitments that you have made to yourself and to others. That is, I have found one of the best ways to increase your confidence
Yes.
is and your trust in yourself, right? So I am the type of person that does this. If I say it, I'm going to do it. And so these three things we believe are amazing action items, homework that you guys can go and start implementing now. And we're obviously, again, the next time we connect, we are going to start diving into the how to and the pitch. The regionals are going to play a really big role in that. I'm going to be involved in this next training, but our regionals are so dang good at teaching the pitch. But Gabe and I wanted to get on tonight and play a role in just this mindset stuff because we geek out on this stuff and love it, and we love you guys, and we're stoked for this year and stoked for to be working together. Like the culture we have here, and I guess we'll finish with this, but we love you and we expect a lot from you. We have a high love, high expectation culture here. And so because we love you, we know that you can accomplish great things. And so yeah, become a student of these things we've talked about tonight. Reach out. We're here for you. And it's been awesome to spend some time together. And the next time we connect, it'll be in person. So
Parker, thanks for the invitation. Great being here. And thanks to everyone for spending the evening with us and letting us share some thoughts.